The words, "not guilty," had echoed around the Crown Court. It was an October afternoon, and Martin Coleman, the presiding defence barrister, had packed away his papers. No sign of pleasure in his success. No sign of joy in his expression. And as he sat at his desk, he looked up at the clock face on the wall. And he looked at the watch on his wrist. And he realized he could make the 6:47 train. This case had taken its toll on his family too. He struggled to remember the last time they had celebrated anything together. Picking up his folio from the desk placed by the window to allow him a view over the bustling street below. And Martin had spent many an afternoon when he was thinking through problems, and he would watch the life beneath him, the life of his chosen business town, carrying on whilst he sat in his ivory tower, set apart, unconnected, separate. He stood up and he lifted his worn leather travel case from underneath the hat stand. It already contained most of what he needed for his journey home. He added his folio from his desk and a couple of case drafts he had been working on. These details would help him to focus his mind away from the dullness of the distance he needed to travel. He walked across to the bookcase in his office and he lifted a small box off the shelf, a gift, safely packed in its wooden case and beautifully wrapped in a deep orange paper, embossed with leaves and shapes associated with the autumnal season. He had found it in a local antique shop, and he was convinced his daughter would absolutely love it. Turning back towards the window, he felt he was being watched. And there across the street, in a building on the other side of Station Road, he thought he saw a shadow move away from the window. Now, he was certain this office was empty. Had someone taken up business there, he thought. He made a note in his diary to make a trip there next week and inquire. Perhaps they might want his services. The train pulled out of the station, over the bridge and off into the night. Coleman rested his elbow on the table in front of him, glimpsing reflections of lights from passing houses as the train gathered speed. He tried to read through the notes he had for the next case, detailing confessions and avoidances from the confused, reasons why they had not committed the crime. He failed. His breath slowed to an even pace, eyes drooping after his stressful few weeks. His head fell back to rest against the rough cloth of the railway company's mass-produced seats. He found himself sitting in an interview room at the police station, just up from the street from the courthouse. Across from the table from him sat the person whose life he had just saved, handcuffs still in place. Outside the locked door, a dark shadow could be seen through the barred window. An officer standing guard, protecting everyone outside, or maybe ready to protect the defense counsellor. Coleman looked onto the table, flicked through the notes to find what he needed to ask the accused. A sheet fell to the floor. Reaching to pick it up, he blinked twice. Sitting back up, blinking again, he caught a movement to his left. The door of the carriage was sliding closed. A silhouette moved to the right in the passageway. Wasn't he alone? Standing, he opened the door and looked both ways, left and then right. No one. Looking back into the compartment behind him, there was nothing else to be seen. Standing in the doorway, weaving back and forth on his feet due to the movement of the train, Coleman checked his watch. 2 minutes to midnight? How long had he been asleep? Had he missed his stop? missed his family celebration. Looking into the corridor again, he stepped out and started to walk towards the back of the train, looking for someone, anyone. The compartments inside the carriage were empty. This was the same in the next 3 carriages, completely vacant. There had been people on board when he entered the train, hadn't there? They couldn't have all got off while he was sleeping. Coleman reached the van at the back of the train. It was also empty. The compartment that the guard usually sat in looked as if it had never been used. Coleman stuck his head inside so he could look through the window. It just showed a cold, dark, autumnal scene receding into the distance. Trees and fields on both sides, gathering light from the stars and the moon and some from the train. No other lights or any other signs of life through his midnight journey. Coleman blinked. He opened his eyes back onto his notes on the small table in front of him. In his seat, in the carriage, his ticket that he had purchased for this train trip. The door started to close again, and a silhouette moved towards the left. Coleman moved quicker this time, and reached the door before it closed. Looking towards the front of the train, the corridor was as empty as it had been the first time. And moving quickly after the shadowy mirage, Coleman opened the door of the carriage into the dining car. The light was warm and inviting. Strong amber colors from the gaslit burners. People were enjoying themselves, chatting, drinking, flirting. No one in the carriage turned to look at Coleman as he moved through the group, attempting to get to the far side. People seemed to just step out of his way almost without thinking. The next carriage appeared to be the mail car, full of sacks, parcels, bags of stamped letters, baskets and hampers, boxes with handwritten labels, to all over the country, including places that were nowhere near where Coleman believed the destination of the train was. After the mail car, he stepped into a guard's van, identical to the one he remembered from the back of the train. Ducking his head into the empty guard's compartment, he looked through the window again. The train was moving through a bright green city that looked as if it was celebrating Guy Fawkes. Fireworks spurted into the air, bunting and lights strung from the buildings, smoke rising from bonfires on the hills. The scene was moving away into the distance as the train could that be? Time, 2 minutes to midnight. Blinking in disbelief, Coleman woke with a startled jump. He was back in his seat in the carriage. His eyes fell onto his notes in his hands. He slowly looked up, and through the dim light of this midnight carriage, he noticed the orange patterned tissue paper on the small table in front of him, ripped and torn. Who has done this? Who has taken the gift? The ball stopped at Coleman's feet as he followed it across the carriage. Coleman blinked, and he blinked again. The guard found him lying on the floor. His body was ice cold. His watch face was cracked, stopped. Had the guard taken a moment to look, he would have seen that the hands were at 2 minutes to 12. Next to his open jacket, his wallet had fallen open, and a small photo. The guard held up the photo and looked at it. This girl must be his daughter, he thought. He noticed the dark hair, the simple white gown, and in her hand she had a flower in full bloom, a rose.